Good evening, the Purge. I had this thing with like making this face. It feels like good on my face. My weird stuff. Anyways, so yesterday, one of my friends that watched the Purge poloed me and was like that no coincidence, the topic of shame was coming up in her world as well. And she shared a story or a course or a class that she was taking that talked about like how aware we are and how we take on other people's energies and stories. And she said I watched it. I watched the polo right after I was talking to my brother. And I'm so attuned with my brother. I always feel what he's feeling, and I don't know that he's feeling that until I talk to him, and then I'll tell him what I'm like. Oh, yesterday was a hunger thing. Like, I was fine. I wasn't really hungry. I was a little bit hungry, but I wasn't really hungry. And then he called me, and I was like, I gotta call you back. And when we hung up the phone, all of a sudden I felt like this ravenous hunger. And I was like, man, I really am starving. Like, I need to eat. And I call him back and I'm like, damn, bro, like, I'm starving. Like, I need to eat. And he was like, yo, me too. That's crazy. I've been fasting, and I'm trying to make it till 5 o'clock. And I was like, that's nuts. Like, I'm not that hungry. It's you. I can feel you. And the reason I say it's not just that one time, there's like a lot of times that happens. And it happens with my mother too. And with my kids, it happens with my kids too. When she was telling me the story of what was in her world, and she's like, it's no coincidence. And I was like, it is not a coincidence. And I was like, all the shame, like, was it even all mine? Like, well, or what, am I like highly aware? And as I'm talking, responding to her polo and like talking, my nose cleared up and my voice got stronger. Like, my voice was all like this and I was all like sick. And then my voice got stronger and like I felt this weight lift and like this expansiveness in my solar plexus, like in my chest heart area. And I was like, I always forget how, and I don't like the word empathic. Empathic feels whatever to me, feels overused and trendy. But aware, I forget how aware I am and how I pick up a lot of stations. Like, if I'm an antenna, I'm highly aware of a lot of different things going on, but I often forget that. Like, really, like, forget. And I just take it on as it's mine. And then I look for the stories and I look for the validations to prove or to justify the feeling or the emotion. Instead of just observing it and being like, there's that, there goes that. I mean, with some things it's easier than with other things, right? So, not to say that what was coming up for me wasn't mine. And I wonder how much I've taken on and made mine that wasn't actually mine. And she also brought up the healing of the ancestors. And that felt also super, super light. Like, it was just. So I come from like a long line of subservient women, right? Like, we were second class citizens. It's a very machista culture where the women are there to serve and the man rules the house and the man rules the money. And that my father was big on like, si no te gusta, sabes dónde está la puerta, which means like, you don't like it, you know where the door is. And it was like his way or the highway, and he's the one that paid the bills, and that was that. And I remember being like really young and being like, I'm gonna have my own money. Like, I'm not getting married and having some man tell me what to do. And my grandmother got married to my grandfather when she was like 14. Her mother had died, and that's how they supported the family. That's how she helped take care of her siblings. And my mother married in her 20s, but my father was also like 13, 14 years older than her. And there was this like, that's the man you picked. That's it. For better or for worse. You don't get to leave. You don't get to change your mind. You don't get to walk away. And I feel like I've chosen different. My life is completely different. And so the vision I get, or the words I'm hearing, or the picture is like, I speak the secrets of the ancestors, right? Like all the things that they died with, or that they held in, or that was taboo, where they weren't allowed to say, they weren't allowed to do those things. Like, here I am, like loud and proud, just doing the do, right? Saying the things, telling the secrets, owning the shame, owning the, it's like the dark feminine, right? Like, call me crazy. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna say what I need to say, even if I get shunned and I get thrown out of, I'm like the scarlet letter, like I'll be that, but I'm saying it, I'm doing it. I've been that. And my name, Thelma, means willful. I've been fucking willful. And I've broken away from a lot of the traditions and norms and, like being first generation American and choosing other. And even when I look around now at my family, like for the most part, all the women are married. They're all married, and like I, I, they're not happily married. They're just, this is what they've chosen. And I've noticed that a lot of it has to do with finances, and it's more comfortable when you have someone else paying all the bills, or the things that they're willing to sacrifice about themselves. And yeah. And we've been in our course, we've moved on to money jealousy, and how the money jealousy could show up in ways of judgment, right? Like, we're not openly being like, yeah, I'm jealous of her for this. No, instead we're like hating on it, right? So I was looking at all the places that I'll do that I'll judge, like, oh, they're too fancy, or oh, how wasteful. Or wasteful is a big one that comes up for me. Like, oh, how wasteful. So I'm like, am I willing to be wasteful? Am I willing to continue to choose for me and my desires for nothing else other than I desire it? I can try. Or I'm trying, at least. Yeah. So that was just amazing yesterday, after talking with her, or poloing with her. And I've still been like reaching for the vision. Like, what's the vision? What am I creating? Why am I even in this occult school? Like, what is it that I'm creating from this? And one of my friends does TikTok, and her and her sister do TikTok together, and they like do these battles, and guys watch, and she makes pretty good money on there. And she's like, Thelma, just get on there and do TikTok, like do your videos, show like what you do one-handed. And I'm like, I feel like a freak show. Like, I'm gonna show people, it's like, oh, come watch how I maneuver my one-handed life. Like, I just get so ashamed, embarrassed. I have like body shame of how it looks on my paralyzed side. And so I was like, oh, I can't do it. But it's my Sparta year, and representation matters. There's another conversation I've been having with God about like my body, and he's like, I designed you perfectly and beautifully. Like, there's nothing wrong. And I want to believe that. Like, I want to embody that. I want to really feel that in my body. And I have these like little twinkling moments where I feel a little bit of that, and then it goes away. So I'm like, what would it take to have more of that? So anyways, I woke up this morning, and I was in my prayer meditation, And I had the vision of doing TikToks where I'm cooking and or cleaning or doing laundry, but where I'm doing this too, like I'm vlogging, right? Like I'll be doing, because then I'm not being self-conscious about being watched doing my life one-handed. And then also, while since I'm doing something else, I'm not being all up in my head about what I'm sharing and saying. It could just be like we're hanging out, like I do this. This is like my little hangouts, my little video diary hangouts. So my little purges. So I reached out to her and I was like, hey, would you like teach me the TikTok ways? Like show me how I start, or, and I was just throwing ideas around with her. So we have a meeting set up for that. And then my brother reached out and he was like, I think I found the van because we want to get into logistics. And he sent me a couple of listings and I was like, one of them felt really good. And I was like, okay. And we started working on numbers for that. And then I've been studying for my life insurance, to get licensed for the life insurance. So I feel like things are definitely like coming together. The vision is coming together. And and that's it. Like it's just coming together. One step at a time. Laying down one brick at a time. Feels really good. Anything else? No, that's it for me for now. Thank you again for witnessing. Have a good night.